Last month I thought that life is too enjoyable, so I decided to reach Master 1 with Abyss Actors. My hard drive is running out of space due to all the random stream footage from when I played the deck on stream, so here's the very delayed guide sort of overview video. Here's a quick Abyss Actor rundown. Opponent pops face down, they blow up. They use an effect when we have the field spell and a pendulum summon dude, they blow up a back row, or try to even if we don't have one. Also we just creature swap their monsters. Over a month has passed since I originally made this, so the meta is a little bit different, but this deck is actually pretty good into Kashtira because Lava Golem owns them. Super Poly Stonks dropped those, so keep that in mind. I will go over the standard combos, which will teach you the deck if you listen to the end, and then go over some random extra stuff. I will now walk you through a normal combo going second. If your opponent controls a monster, extras can be summoned from the scale. As a monster, it contributes itself and scale a different pendulum from the deck. You are now locked into special summoning Abyss Actors only. You can grab the Curtain Raiser, which once per duel can summon itself from the scale if you control no other monsters. Then you can use the forbidden effect of Curtain, sending a script to the graveyard. You can add back a pendulum from the extra deck. You now summon the Link 1. It's a custom card. You summon a scale and place a different one from the deck. Normally, Wild Hope is the one you go for. You are now locked into Abyss Actor monsters only. You now summon the Link 2. It's a custom card. You now pop a Wild Cope to either search for the field spell or place another pendulum scale from the deck. It can be the same card that you just destroyed. You now search for whatever is missing with Wild Cope destruction effect. You now search for whatever is missing with Mellow Madonna. You are now locked into special summoning Abyss Actor pendulum monsters only. You now pendulum summon. The Superstar has a soft once per turn script search ability. Abyss King script cannot be responded to while we control a level 7 or higher Abyss Actor. We might exchange control of cards at some point of the setup with Comic Relief. We have now stolen back our Lava Golem. Going first. I personally didn't perform this ever because if my opponent made me go first, I expected them to be able to break any board I could put up, but this is also something you can do. I stuck with the blind second build because, in my opinion, the turn 1 setup's power ceiling isn't really all that high, and ideally you supplement it with floodgates, to which I'm allergic to. Skill drain works because actors are chunky, Goes and Rivalry also don't really hurt the actor lines. I feel like the deck does lose a bit of its charm to me with a go first approach, since you first turbo out an Appaloosa and Vortex, aka a thing that 90% of pen decks tend to do anyways. Oh yeah, also Rehearsal locks you into Abyss Actors as well, so there's a little bit of counter synergy there with one of your best cards. Up until Diamond 3 I played this build. I initially didn't realize I wasn't running Max C, but it honestly felt playable. Diamond 3 and 1 were choke points where I added Max as Gamma wasn't really working out ever, and also started adding even more Kaiju cards because I didn't see them enough. At the end of my climb, I also had doubts about Evil Heal since the scale and level aren't ideal. Similarly to Chunky Funky Comedian that I ended up dropping, it can clear some specific scenarios. 3k Bongas versus Lady and also setting scripts from the graveyard can be massive, but depending on your Kaiju ratios and other factors, it might be fine trying to build without. Lava Golem is nuts in most matchups. Against tier it's usually alive if they get to combo even a little bit and often enough to disrupt Celiac Crime access. That being said, it wasn't enough to break most Sprite or even proper branded boards with just a Tribute 2. Spheres, on the other hand, was insane against decks like Sprite, Branded, or super full combo tier element. It also played through a couple of stun boards, since the summon is actually a normal summon, not a special summon. This does however mean that Spheres plus Lava Golem is a conflicting hand and leaves you with at least one dead card in hand. I only tried Spheres because I happened to pull them while obtaining my Abyss Actor core. I don't know if I would play more than one. It depends on the decks I actively see while playing ranked, I suppose. It's also worth noting that Spheres is an annoying card to out for us as well, since the card can't be targeted. The only ways of pushing for lethal through it, either setting up a dramatic story non-targeting bounce, or using a Kaiju over the Spheres. Otherwise we have to wait for the opponent to remove the card, or for it to come back to us. One of the more unfortunate interactions interactions in this deck is the dissonance between Rehearsal and the Kaiju cards. Rehearsal has to be used at the start of your main phase 1, but often you won't really be able to resolve the card unless you Kaiju an opponent's negate, or 2, as people don't really like letting a 2-for-1 Surge go through. Because of this, at times, Super Poly felt better as a board breaker, since you can use it in the draw or standby phase. That being said, against a fair few decks, it's hard to actually break a board with Super Poly entirely, even if we run so many different targets. Against Tearlament especially, it doesn't feel amazing, but into Sprite and Branded, this card could make or break your ability to play, and I feel there aren't really that many better alternatives in this meta right now besides more Kaijus, or I suppose Lightning Storm. Super Poly does, however, make a great interruption card mid-combo, as I learned when people simply destroyed me by Super Polying my Link 1 plus a body after I had used my normal and special summons already, leaving me completely unable to do anything. Facing Tier was probably the least bad of the popular decks, as long as I had access to Lava Golem, plus curtains or extras. A lot of my losses to Tier actually came from Super Poly. Dragon Link tends to set up 2 to 3 monsters, which again makes it fairly easy to deal with if we open our board breakers. Sprite and Branded spread out their interactions between a lot of bodies and are thus usually hard to deal with even with great hands if they open just average. I expected the new Trap box to bring a bunch of bad matchups since I don't really run cards like Lightning Storm, but there is a funny aspect to the Trap Tricks matchup. When Superstar is summoned, the opponent can't activate spells or traps, which turns off most of the Trap Hole cards. This was relevant in Duel Links, and to some degree is decisive in the Trap Tricks matchup in Master Duel as well. Just don't mistake this for a summon negate immunity like my Yosenju Daibuck. You can still be negated on your Pendulum summon or your Tribute summon. Trap Tricks do have several scary tools. Rafflesia can still apply the Trap Hole effect on Superstar summons, since it is a monster effect. A well-placed Scale Pop with Myrmelio or a Banish with Pudika can be devastating as well. Also, Zeus just wrecks Pendulum decks in general, including ours. Labby is annoying because of D-Barrier being absolutely ridiculous. Virus can also be bad, but sometimes you can bait them into script pops and win off of those by setting the script beforehand, then placing a scale. Lady is also a bit of a pain to deal with due to the targeting and destruction protection and high defense and attack value. Here's a ton of random knowledge I wasn't sure where to put in the video. Madonna summons a level 4 or lower Abyss Actor from the deck if you use any script, but the monster also bounces back to the hand during the end phase. If you aren't going for game, it can be a good idea to give your opponent the monster that you summoned through Madonna's effect as you use Comic Relief so that they don't get a monster back for the monster that you took away from them. Similarly, on occasion it can be worth giving your opponent a rookie that you tried to pop once. When you run over the card, you can still get the special summon from the deck, which can potentially sometimes set up lethal as well. If you use Dramatic Story on Rookie, it can protect itself from the destruction, basically making Dramatic Story a free summon from the deck. Dramatic Story plus a bad normal summon is still usually full combo in most cases. Since the Superstar effect is soft once per turn, you can often search for Dramatic Story and exchange a smaller monster for another Superstar and then go for the Abyss King script if you needed the pop and a bit more damage. Just remember that the script requires different names for more pops. Giving your opponent a Comic Relief is a great way of 100% proccing your script effect since it gives you the ability to pop a face down card. If you don't destroy the Comic Relief that you gave to your opponent and end your turn, during your opponent's standby phase, it will come back to you, making him a great creature swap target. The Wild Hope Scale Increase effect is not once per turn and can be a good way to try and bait your opponent into a scale pop, sometimes resulting in a search for you. Curtain Raiser is a great way to bait your opponent for Imperm against people who don't know what the deck is doing. Your Field Spell Replacement effect is not an activated effect and will affect Psychic and Punisher, allowing you to potentially clear this hard to deal with card. The Abyss Script Graveyard effects also can proc the Madonna Special Summon effect. Using the Link 2 to place the field spell on the board in response to an opponent's effect will still alter their effect on resolution. Don't set Super Polymerization with the field spell up, it will get popped. This deck is pretty stupid, or at least I played it in a pretty stupid way. As most blind second decks, it feels awful to lose to. That being said, I love that you summon archetype cards and stick to them throughout most duels as well. but it also gets tiring waiting for the opponent to combo just to see if you can clear the board or just bricking on the wrong pieces. This is definitely a legitimate go second cheese deck choice, and you could fit in other removal cards depending on the meta, Lightning Storm, Duster, etc. I enjoyed the deck a lot until I hit mid-diamond and faced non-stop same decks with their ability to just set up stupidly high value end boards at a higher rate than my ability to open the perfect board breaker hand plus a starter. You shouldn't build this probably, but if you want to join me and that one guy I faced off in a mirror during my climb, then be prepared for a bunch of fun and a bunch of misery. I ended up finishing this by recording audio on 50 different days and then redoing a lot of stuff, but not feeling motivated to redo it in one take, so this is what you get. Hopefully it was useful to some people, or at least entertaining to some degree with how scuffed it was. Make sure to drink lots of water and get a lot of sleep. Oh, and you could also subscribe. Bye!